This is home. Your Alaska Link with Trill Gates starts right now.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Jamie Holmes. Trill Gates is on assignment. The governor recently expressed interest in sending troops all the way from Alaska to Texas to help man the border. It's a move that would cost serious dollars, so what does the legislature think? Your Alaska Link's Ian Stewart posed that question to lawmakers.
It will cost Alaska about $1 million to send 100 of Alaska's National Guard troops to the Texas border to help with the border issues they're facing. This was an idea shared by Governor Dunleavy in a news conference he held last week in Juneau.
And so we need to get a handle on the border. I'll get a read on the legislature if they want to help appropriate money for that. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a good thing.
He also expressed that helping at the Texas border could help up here in Alaska.
Well, how does that impact Alaska? We're interdicting fentanyl almost on a daily basis up here. We're not immune to what happens on the border. Thank goodness we don't have much of a border issue up here with our adjacent neighbors.
Legislation was briefed on the matter and shared how much of a reality it could be.
They made it very clear that there's no plans at this point to send Alaska troops to Texas in support of the Texas governor.
While there are no plans in the works by the state, there is a possibility for the federal government to request troops from Alaska for support.
And actually, they talked only about 20 aviation troopers with 2 Black Hawk helicopters in September.
The sending of the 20 troops would be federally funded, but if Alaska was to send the originally planned 100 troops, it would cost Alaska. Legislation shared that in the briefing, General Sachs said that there was no funds to do that. Ian Stewart, your Alaska Link.
Speaking of the governor, he just wrapped up his first official visit to Yukon. Governor Dunleavy shared this photo of himself with the premier of the Yukon to social media. During their big meeting in Whitehorse, the two leaders agreed to work together to repair a damaged part of the Alaska Highway between Destruction Bay and the Alaska border. According to the Alaska Beacon, per the agreement, Alaska will provide the funding, some $30 million, and the Yukon government will perform the repairs. Meanwhile, our state's food stamp crisis continues. The Alaska Department of Health is at risk for losing its federal funding. A letter from the U.S. Department of Agriculture stated the department is out of compliance with federal standards due to, quote, inefficient and ineffective communication. Alaska has struggled to manage its backlog of processing applications due to staffing shortages. Just last month, the state launched a new online application for food stamps. We have a link to that on youralaskaLink.com. Some sad news. We have learned that Tom Anderson has died. A former congressman, he represented the people of Northeast Anchorage from 2003 to 2007. Anderson also hosted the Tom Anderson Show on KVNT Radio. His loved ones say he had been battling cancer. And we'd like to take a moment to remember Nellie Moore, believed to be one of the first Indigenous reporters in the last frontier. Moore died from complications due to a long illness. She was 69 years old. Time now for a check of the forecast. Senior meteorologist Alyssa Triplett has a look at conditions across the state. Hello, Alyssa.
Hey, Jamie, and good evening. We were watching a wintry system that has been working its way up the west coast. Those snow showers are coming to an end, and much of Alaska is going to be underneath control of high pressure systems, and even noting that these lows to our south continue to filter in very mild temperatures. But another system will be arriving across portions of the Alaska Peninsula into southwestern portions of the state, so we will be returning quickly back to some active weather to end off this week. But we will note that much of the region does get a chance at that sunshine and very mild temperatures. 20s even all the way through the North Slope possible, near 30s into Fairbanks again, looking at 36 at least in Anchorage, 34 into Juneau with more of that sunshine. But as mentioned, as we head towards the end of the week, we're going to continue to watch that some streaming energy from the south is going to be working its way in, keeping again though most of its impacts to more of the west, as that high pressure system control across northern Canada is very dominant. But we'll dive into more of those details in a few minutes.
Alyssa, thank you. Ever wonder what a year's worth of earthquakes in Alaska would look like? Well, the Alaska Earthquake Center shared this graphic on social media. Each and every one of those little dots you see represents a quake. Obviously, some were more impactful than others, and all officials reported some 47,000 earthquakes in 2023. Some much-needed help is coming to the people in Koyukuk, and that's where we begin today's trip around Alaska. Kayukuk is a small village located on the Yukon River about 30 miles west of Galena, and according to the Red Cross of Alaska, freezing temperatures recently left the people there without water and other essentials. Volunteers have teamed up with the Salvation Army and the Tenaya Chiefs Conference to buy and ship some much-needed supplies. The Food Bank of Alaska is settling into its Wasilla branch. The nonprofit shared this photo to Facebook. Officials say the warehouse will help provide those in the Mat-Su Valley dedicated access to the resources they need. The North Pole Fire Department is hosting a family vaccine clinic on Thursday. It's happening at the fire station on Lewis Street from 3 to 6 p.m. Childhood and adolescent vaccines will be available, along with flu shots for anyone 6 months and older. The Year of the Dragon is officially underway. As you can see, the University of Alaska Fairbanks Chinese Student Association recently hosted a spectacular celebration. The group says it was a night of cultural wonders filled with song, dance, and a delicious dinner. And finally, Girdwood Brewing Company's new beer will be called Hold My Bear. Proceeds from the Hellas Lager will support the Alaska Wildlife Conservation Center. The public was asked to vote and help name the brew, and Hold My Bear won by a landslide. Girdwood Brewing says it'll be available for drinking in May. And that'll do it for our trip around Alaska. As Valentine's Day approaches, many people are looking for love online. Your Alaska Link's LaShawn Donaldson spoke with cyber experts, though, on how to spot a bad romance.
As online relationships continue to develop throughout Alaska and the lower 48, romance scams online are increasing.
A romance scam is when a scammer gains a victim's trust through some type of online relationship. And then they use this trust to make money or have the victim do favors for them, like make financial transactions or move money around.
So you're seeing criminal groups make increased use of tools like AI, using deepfakes and other techniques in order to target not just vulnerable people, but all sorts of people.
Experts recommend to be wary of who you talk to online.
Basically, don't send money to people you've never met before. The scammers are really good at manipulating the victim into believing, they're in this relationship and that they can fully trust them. And that's how it all starts.
Cybersecurity experts warn to remain cautious while online.
So be very careful when it comes to giving folks that you meet on the internet money or access to your personal information.
And some people tell Your Alaska Link how they stay safe while browsing online.
Honestly, I keep looking at my bank statements, and if anything looks out of line, then I talk to them very quickly.
I don't go to what I would consider suspicious websites.
To learn more information on how to avoid a romance scam, you can visit our website, youralaska.link.com. LaShawn Donaldson, Your Alaska Link.
February 14th is always Valentine's Day, but this year it's also Ash Wednesday, which could be problematic if you wanted to wine and dine your sweetheart. For those of the Christian faith, Ash Wednesday marks the beginning of Lent, a 40-day season of prayer and repentance leading to Easter. Typically, Catholics fast on Ash Wednesday, which would mean no sweets or fancy dinners. Some bishops across the country are being lenient, though, saying it's okay to indulge a little. We reached out to the Diocese of Fairbanks and we're told there will be no dispensation this year. Traditional fasting rules still apply on Ash Wednesday, even though it's also Valentine's Day. We reached out to the Archdiocese of Anchorage-Juneau for comment as well, but didn't hear back. That being said, bakeries, candy shops, florists, and more are still busy as can be ahead of the holiday. Your Alaska Link stopped by Hummel's Flowers in Anchorage. The team here has been hard at work getting ready for Valentine's Day. So who's getting what?
We have seen a lot more people looking for favorite flowers of their loved ones. And so a lot of people are like, oh, I love sunflowers, or I know they love this flower or that flower. And that's been really cool to get to see that they know their partner.
Hummels will also be hard at work on Valentine's Day with plenty of deliveries on the books. And before we take a break, some big news out of Washington. The Senate has passed a $95 billion bill that would send financial aid to Ukraine, Israel, and Taiwan. Of that, $60 billion would go to Ukraine as the country continues to fight off a Russian invasion. Both of Alaska's senators, Lisa Murkowski and Dan Sullivan, voted to pass the foreign aid bill. It now goes to the House for deliberation. The Super Bowl may be over, but mental health experts say the results may still be weighing on your mind. Coming up, Anna Manuel will take a look at the psychology behind fandoms. Plus, Alyssa will have your full forecast. But first, let's meet today's hometown hero.
Hometown Heroes, brought to you by Anchorage Chrysler Dodge Center.
Congratulations to Dispatcher Christine with the Anchorage Fire Department on reaching 10 years with the department. Have a hometown hero in your life who deserves to be recognized? Email their name with a photo to news@youralaskaalink.com. And to all of our heroes, thank you for what you do. And don't forget, you can read and watch our news and weather anytime at our website. Make youralaskaalink.com your go-to source for all things Alaska. We will be right back.